Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that break because we have returned with our second Team League match of the night. We are diving into what everyone has been waiting for, ONSYDE versus Shopify Rebellion. Let's go. Some of the best teams here in the Team League, but some people did take note of something very important, something very crucial for the first time, I believe, this season. Shopify are not going to be fielding their ace player. Björn is missing. Björn is missing in action. Hopefully everything is okay, but he's not here tonight, so his team is going to have to step it up. And in the top, oh my god. In top right hand corner, we have for ONSYDE, Solar. And in the bottom left, we have a Shopify Rebellion. It is Lambo. Here we go. And if you're in the chat, predictions are open. Place your bets on how you think this series will unfold in this ZVZ. And again, it is a ZVZ. This is a bit of a speciality for Solar. Solar, he is dubbed as the Serral Killer, the Serral Slayer. Time and time again, if anyone needs to knock Serral down a peg, Solar steps up. He asked for it. He wants it, Papi. He wants it. So, I mean, you could also maybe argue that maybe Solar is only good against Serral and maybe less so against other Zerg players. It's possible, it's possible. But for now, we already see a cheeky opener here. Solar going straight for the gold. This is a very common tactic here on Alcyone. Because of the center gold bases, we've seen many Zerg players here throughout WTL go for that gold. We've seen Alaza do it, Solar do it. I believe Rainer's done it as well. Again, a lot of the top Zerg players have embraced the gold bases on this map. And here we go. Big shout out to the sponsors. We have Doyu, we have Honkai Star, Tidal, and Autofool as well. Without these lovely sponsors, of course, WTL would not be possible. It would not be a thing. So, big shout out to the sponsors. Not just WTL, but also Masters Coliseum and the Kung Fu Cups as well. All things SC Boy, all things Starcraft. Much love. As Solo is going for the Maynard, again, taking control of that gold base. Now, the way this works, the dynamic here in the ZVZ, because Solar has a boosted economy with the gold, typically this leads into an all-in, as in this leads into an all-in from Solar where he wants to take full advantage of this base, especially because it's so exposed so far out. And we can go in a couple of different directions. We can either try to rush into roaches a little bit faster or just go for a link flood, as we can afford that much more. Meanwhile, we can see that the second overlord of Lambo is poised to scout the gold. Again, really good scout here by Lambo. He's aware of the potential for these gold bases, so that's why his overlord was already rallied in that location, that direction. Meanwhile, link speed is on the way. We have not pulled out of gas. Bear that in mind. Solar did not pull out of gas. He should be going for a Baneling Nest afterwards, and we should be committing to Baneling Harass here as well. Oh, never mind. He skips the Bane Nest, going right into the roaches. And I mentioned this before. That's why I said that typically when a Zerg player takes the gold, it's an all-in. It's an all-in, and Solar, he's rushing into roaches as quickly as possible. And again, he can afford it because of that boosted economy. It's going to be a Lambo to defend. Lambo is going two-base lair? Ooh, So Lambo, he's walling off. Lambo, he's going to be playing two-base. He will be taking the defensive position here, and this is good against Ling main. Like, if Solar was Ling flooding, then I would praise Lambo right now. But Solar isn't Ling flooding. He's going for a Roach Rush instead. Solar doesn't get the scout. He does not see the lair. Big move here. Very important that Solar doesn't know what's going on. But the problem is that this two-base Warlock from Lambo isn't going to help against the roaches. 7 roaches are in production, and Lambo doesn't know either. That's it. Both players are in the dark. Solar doesn't know about the fast lair. Lambo doesn't know about the fast roaches. And here we go. Solar, he's sending everything across the map. Checking that wall, confirming the Roach Warren, the Evo Chamber. Does see everything. Solar taking the third base behind this, but again, he's still just amassing Lings and amassing Roaches, sending everything across the map. Can we hold? Can we survive? The Roach Warren does finish, and how many Roaches can Lambo squeeze out here in the defense? It's going to be close. It is going to be close. Lings already testing the wall, testing the defenses. Roaches have arrived. 7 Roaches are in production. That will be enough to defend. But how many queens are going to fall? That's the real question. Boys are being pulled. 1 queen goes down. So will the second. Pick off a worker. Behind this, the Solar drone, or does he commit? He's committing. Solar, he is not droning. He's still committing. The Roach Warren is under fire. And the Lings, they dive on the army. It looks like one of these Ravagers is not going to finish, but we get the queen, we get the Lings. And it looks like Solar is getting out of control. Boys are being pulled, but against Lings, oh my god, that's not ideal. Every single drone's going to go down. And we dive on top of the army as well. And even if we can hold on to the main, we can take control of the Roach Warren. And the Roach Warren is going to fall. We just focus on the Roaches. We can get ¿Por qué no los dos? Why not both? And Roach Warren goes down, and Roach speed is denied. +1 range is on the horizon, but we get another surround on another Roach. Not like this. Whilst as well, they connect on the Roaches, and again, Solar, he's snowballing out of control. GG gets called, and Solar takes game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played, and yeah, quickly going over that game as well. That was so unfortunate for Lambo. So I don't blame Lambo for going 2 base. I said it at the time. I mentioned it briefly, but it is much more common when the aggressing player takes the gold. It is much more common for that to lead into a Link Flood and a Bane Bust, which is where Lambo's strategy of going for a 2 base play would have worked. He would have been perfectly set up here to defend against a Link Flood. Alas, it wasn't a Link Flood, it was a Roach Rush, and Lambo didn't know. He wasn't able to see the tech, he wasn't able to confirm what was happening. Because of that, he just wasn't able to be ready for it in time. He just wasn't set up for the defense, and Solo was able to snowball out of control. I did mention at the time that Solo wasn't able to see the lair, but despite that, it just didn't really matter. He saw the wall off, he saw the lack of third base. Solo knew what he needed to see, or he saw what he needed to see, and yeah, in the end, Solo was able to snowball out of control, shut Lambo down. And now Lambo's up against the wall. We're going to be getting ready for game number 2. It's going to be on Oceanborn. Let's go. Let us go. Of course, this is Lambo's map of choice. A really interesting map. For those curious, Oceanborn has a shorter rush distance by ground compared to Alcyone, so you can be more aggressive. The 3-base setup is pretty defensible overall, but again, because of short rush distance, we have seen a lot of Roach aggression, we have seen a lot of Roach pushes, and a lot of Roach timings on Oceanborn as well. So I'm curious if Lambo wants to go 2-base again. I'm curious if he wants to wall off on 2 bases and to skip the Ling main portion of the game and get into Roaches a little bit faster. We'll see. We'll see what Lambo's plan is going to be. Likewise, we'll see how Solar adapts and how he reacts on Oceanborn as well. That is the question, and here we go. We do have in the top left-hand corner Solar for ONSYDE. And in the bottom right, we have his opponent for Shopify Rebellion. It is Lambo. Here we go. As for now, everything's looking normal. We're going hatch gas full. We're joining up, saturating our bases, and I don't expect any kind of deviation this early on. I mentioned before that really my eyes are on Lambo to see if he does take a 3rd base on time or if he goes for 2-base play again. And I do think that he would have more success playing 2-base here on Oceanborn compared to Alcyone. I do think it makes more sense, or it makes as much sense, and we'll see. As for now, hatcheries are on the way, gases are soon to be taken, and a spawning pool thereafter. Now, unlike the previous map, there's no gold bases to rush into, there's no rich-festing gas geysers either. The base is a lot more normal. I did mention before that the short rush distance can very much so come into play here. You can be very assertive, and once you gain momentum, it can be difficult to really lose it. So both players are going to have to be very careful about their overlord placement and about their map vision. Likewise, your 3-base setup can be quite secure just because the bases themselves and the entry points into the natural and the 3rd are quite close. So you can pivot between them and defend both bases quite easily once you do get into 3-base saturation. The 4th is a lot more difficult, and we can talk about that I guess when we get into if we do get that far, but the 4th is more exposed. Can be more difficult to defend in general. But for now, we're just droning. We are just chilling. Joining up here on 2 bases, saturating our natural. And so far, no big signs. We have Link Speed on the way. No one is skipping Link Speed, for example, and rushing into a Roach Warren. We should be throwing down Baneling Nests. No one should be skipping Banelings unless a player decides to go for 2-base play. And there it is. Third is being taken by Solar, and likewise, a third is also being taken by Lambo. So far, we're keeping up. So far, we are mirroring each other. And you have confirmation. This means that neither player is going to be playing 2 base, obviously, and it means neither player is going to be skipping banelings. As there it is, the baneling nest is thrown down from both Solar and Lambo. Is on the way. You can see Lambo trying to get a scout off. He does confirm the baneling nest at least. Does confirm that Solar isn't cutting corners. It is not unheard of for a Zerg player to sometimes skip the baneling nest and try a little bit greedy. And if you confirm that, then you can punish it, of course, by being hyper aggressive. But so far, both players are respecting each other. They're keeping up. And there we go. Solar immediately throws out a Roach Warren. Lambo not too far behind with his own. Only behind by a couple of seconds. Not the biggest of deals. So both players are headed in the same direction. Safety bailiness is done. Safety bailings are out. A nice scout out of Lambo. He gets into the main base, confirms the lack of additional gases, layers, Evo chamber. Making sure that everything is on the up and up. And we are looking to get into the mid game. We're looking to ease our way into Roach versus Roach. I know we still have Ling Bane, but no one is making like an influx of Lings or anything like that. Everyone is chilling. Everyone is droning. I say that, never mind. I did notice that Solar did make an extra wave of Overlords for some reason. I was like, hold up. We're not getting close to supply blood. And we see why. Solar, he's cutting workers. He's cutting workers at 38, and he's making nothing but roaches. Lambo, he's also keeping up with roaches. He's droning. Lambo is droning, and his opponent isn't. Numbers-wise, Lambo, he will be behind in the roach count. He's pushing out as well. Investing into a lair, investing into another gas geyser. Oof. This is a scary moment here for Lambo. He still doesn't know what's happening. Doesn't know that Solar is all in. Solar going to be harassing with this Ling counterattack, going to be forcing Lambo to turn back around. Lambo, he's still droning, he's still saturating. Ay, 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 a queen gets picked off. Solar, sorry, Lambo, he's up to 52, 54. He's still making drones. And that's game. There we go. We now realize what's going on. Roaches are on the way for Lambo. And Solar is soon to pull the trigger. This is a hatch tech all-in, by the way. Solar has double the army supply. We gotta go now. If we wait a little bit too long, Lambo can stabilize. And here we go. Solar, he's pushing. And I mentioned before, the short rushes by ground and Oceanborn is not giving Lambo any favors. Now, if he gets some juicy baneling connections, spine crawlers are on the way. Lambo, he has recognized what's going on. He's realized how far behind he is, like army-wise. We need some miracle baneling connections on these things, and even then, it may not be enough. Here we go, the roaches, they have arrived. Bailey's gonna be rolling on forward. Big connections on the left-hand side, though. You can see that Lambo trying to break through, but alas, the numbers are just working against him here. Files will connect. Queen goes down. We have reinforcements. Spine Crawler finishes. Can Lambo hold? All he has to do is hold on. He just has to survive. Can he pull it off so far? Ling reinforcements have right. We have to pull the boys. The boys are being pulled. They're getting on top of the roaches. Lambo, can he hold? He cleans up the Lings. And he's forcing Solar back. Forcing him back for him. And we get to surround. One of these Ravagers is going to be going down. And Solar, he's running out of steam. And it looks like Lambo has done it. He has done it. He has survived. And Solar has nothing behind this. Oh my god. Again, we saw some big baneling connections. The Spine Crawler finishing up as well. I do think the Solar took a little bit too long to push out. He's getting us around here, but actually, he is gaining ground. But Lambo should have enough. Yeah, he has more than enough. And now Lambo is miles ahead. He has a lair, he has roach speed, he has +1. And what do we do with this lead? Spire is on the way. Spire is on the way. Again, I do think that Solar did take a little bit too long to pull the trigger. I do think he allowed Lambo to get into his economy, to get into his roach production. and to react in time. Here we go again. That was a close defense. And from here, it's on Solo to recover. What can Solo do from here? His lair is just now finishing. His Link does get in. Big scouts. Ooh, really crucial scout here. Okay, if we were casting Dark, Dark would start up Queens, Spores, and a Hydra Den, and he would turtle up on 3 bases and go into Lurkers. There's that Hydra Den on the way. That's the first piece of the puzzle. We need Queens. We need to turtle. The reality is that Lambo has map control. After what just happened, Lambo, he can freely expand and take another base. He can take a 4th. He can take his gases. He can, of course, get into mutas, tech up. Lambo has a lot of freedom. And he needs to take advantage of that economy. I do think this 4th base is late. I do think that Lambo's 4th is a little bit delayed here. As a result, he also was cutting workers. He wasn't droning his 3rd. So Lambo wasn't as greedy as he otherwise could have been. There's that Lurker Den on the way. So again, Solar, his goal is to turtle. Is to turtle up on Hydra, Lurker, Viper. Do we have enough Queens? Hydra's going to come out just in time. And Lambo is droning. So Lambo isn't going for a kill move, which means Solar is in this. He's back in this. At this point, he's recovered. At this point, this is still anyone's game. So far, the mutas, they pick off 1 Overlord. Lurker Den's finishing up. We can see that Lambo, he only made, I want to say 7 mutas. He only made a handful of mutas to harass, and he is doubling down on roach production. The downside to this is that we should soon have a wave of Lurkers. But we need them. If we don't finish up these Lurkers in time, then Lambo can break Solar. So there's a bit of a give and take here. And there we go. Lurkers are on the way. A couple of drones are going down. It's only 2 Lurkers, though. This is still not critical mass. Lambo can still pull off this attack. And Lambo is cutting workers at 66. That's 3 base saturation. He only has the 4th for larva. And to, like, reroute his workers as well. But yeah, basically Solar, he's stuck at home. He has to just slowly build up that Lurker count. We need, like, 6 Lurkers, I want to say. There's that Infestation Pit to get into Hive Tech. You could argue that this Infestation Pit is late for Solar, but he was just trying to be very safe and trying to make sure he didn't die suddenly to mass muta. So Lambo is maxing out. But again, the quality of army is going to be better for Solar if Solar maxes out as well. Because again, Solar's going to be working on Lurkers and Hydras. His opponent will have Roaches and a handful of mutas. Speaking of, mutas are getting picked up. Likewise, the Link counterattack does confirm the Roach army. Does drag Lambo's attention back home. And here we go. A mass amount of Banelings going to be rolling on forward. The goal here, the Banelings will crash into the Hydras. And ideally the Lurkers as well. Solar, he doesn't see the army movement. He has no overlords. Now he does spot those mutas. Lurkers are in position. And the Banelings, they roll in. Oh, massive spine shots though. Yeah, a lot of these Banelings are going to be going down. We drag back to the safety of these Lurkers. They do connect on Roaches. The Banelings connect on Roaches. Solar takes a good trade. He takes a good fight. A bit of friendly fire. It's okay. But again, I did mention earlier that Solar has recovered. And the longer this goes on, the better it is for Solar. Now, there is still an opportunity. Like, Solar can be outpositioned. He doesn't have an amazing amount of Lurkers. He's still only working on, I want to say, around 6. Good repositioning. Hive is still on the way for Solar. We can see Lambo working on his own Hive. This should be for Vipers. I mean, both players should be working on Vipers, essentially. Oh, as we do have a massive Roach counterattack. We get into the mineral line. Drones are getting picked up. Ay, ay, ay. It's going to be 2 dead workers. A couple of spine crawlers as well. Solar snowballing out of control a little bit here. The Mutas, they have potential. They go for the middle line. Spore Crawler's out of position. Lambo, he can still pull this off. Trying to pull apart his opponents. Bypassing those lurkers, rotating towards that third base. Again, Lambo trying to find a way in. Oh! Files down a Hydra. Good pickoff. Oh, but we still can't push into lurkers. It's not possible. The Hive is done for Solo. You can see Hive upgrades on the way for the lurkers. Lambo, he's trying to get into his own Hydra Den. He's trying to get into his own Hydra Lurker Viper, essentially. Catches more Hydras. Solar a little bit wasteful. And the lurkers are exposed. Yeah, Solar out of position. 2 lurkers go down. Vials connect as well. But Solar, he still catches the army. It was a brutal trade, though. Again, killing 2 lurkers is pretty good. Pretty good here from Lambo. Trading roaches for lurkers. But again, Lambo is still behind in tech. And now Solar has a 4th. There we go. Vipers in production. I'm surprised that Solar hasn't started his own Vipers. That's a bit of an oversight, potentially. Oh, lurkers once again exposed. Another lurker goes down. Like Lambo, he's been making some magic happen here. He's been doing a good job at just catching Solar out of position time and time again. But it's still on a knife's edge. Very much so on a knife's edge here. And good Vials zoning back the army. But here come the lurkers, and Solar, he's had enough. He's pushing. This is what he's been waiting for. Now with lurker range. The upgrades are done. Pushing up this ramp is going to be difficult, though. He's going to take some bots to the face. The Vipers, they arrive just in time. But is it going to be enough? Solar bleeding out quite a bit, actually. Not fighting with the lurkers. Trying to push on forward, but we have another blinding cloud. Abductions as well. Lambo coming in for the surround. He's going to clean this up. He collapses on this army. And this is a big overextension from Solar. He gets caught out, and he loses everything. And we gotta go. We gotta send it back. Solar is racing back home here. He lost every single lurker. He's got a couple more in the defense, though. Solar, he's still in this. Lambo rebuilding his 4th. He did lose a hatchery. Bear that in mind. Lambo did lose drones. But he catches 2 more freaking lurkers. They get caught. A bit of a miss rally. 2 lurkers do finish up just in time. And Solar, he's holding. He is barely holding on. Lambo is droning up. He did lose workers earlier, so he has to re-drone, resaturate. Lambo, he could go for the 3rd. Vipers, they're full of energy once again. They're pushing in. Here come the yoinks. Do get 1 abduction. The Viper. Oh my god. As Solar, he's getting quite a lot done here across the map, going for the lurker harass. Oh, getting a lot of damage done. 8 dead workers. Lambo down to 46. Lambo, he's running out of money. With a crippled economy here, he has to be careful. This Lambo's economy is crippled. He needs to either re-drone or take an amazing fight. Or ideally both. This Lambo is rotating around. He's trying to find another way into the 4th. Another lurker coming out to harass. Solar out of position. We go straight for the hatchery. Hatchery taking a lot of hits, and we're going for it. It looks like we do not get a kill, just barely. Solar, he goes with the surround. Collapses on the army, and he's going to be able to clean up most of this. The lurkers, they get in position. Big spine shots. Oh my god. And Lambo, he leans back in his chair. That's a big loss. He loses his army. GG gets called. And Solar takes the 2-0, but that was... Do we have a celebration? Oh, not quite. GG, well played. Oh my god, that was tense. Solar, I'm shocked that he pulled it off. Remember, he went for a pretty committed all-in. Didn't have a lair, didn't have upgrades. he had, I want to say, what was it, like 39 workers to like the 52 of his opponent. Like, he was so heavily behind in the economy and the tech as well. The all-in failed, but he was able to pivot back, turtle up, tech up into lurkers, and that was Solar's win condition, to tech up into Hydra Lurker Viper. Meanwhile, Lambo was committed. Lambo, he made the choice not to tech up into Hydras and Lurkers. He made the choice to double down on Banelings with his mutas, of course. The mutas gave him map control, and his goal there was to end the game with Roach, Bane, Muta. And the moment that he didn't, the moment when Solar took that fight at the third base and forced back Lambo, suddenly Lambo was in trouble. Suddenly Lambo was in quite a bit of trouble because his opponent was able to tech up into a superior army. And then we saw it back and forth. After that, we saw it back and forth. You know, Solar was getting caught out, Lambo was getting caught out. You know, it was wild, it was crazy. In general, though, Solar was able to deal a crippling amount of economic damage, and Lambo wasn't able to sustain himself. He could not keep going, and Solar takes the 2-0. GG. That was a good game, though. It was a solid series. GG, well played. And with that, we're now getting ready for our second best of 2. Our second matchup, it is going to be Maru versus Harstem. I'll get the predictions ready. I'll get him ready, Papa. Get him ready. Here we go. It is going to be a TVP. And again, Harstem, he is hot right now. He's on fire. It's the hashtag year of Harstem. It always is. it's always the year of Harstem, but you know, this time it's the year of Harstem. And he did very well for himself in Home Story Cup. So he's in form. That's what's important. He is in form. Had a good performance in Home Story Cup, but can he do the same here in WTL against Maru? The highest rated player in WTL, Maru. And here we go. In the top left-hand corner, we have representing Team ONSYDE. It is the best Terran in South Korea, Maru. And in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Harstem. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Let's go. I'm still, like, just allowing that last DVZ to really sink in. That was crazy. That was beautiful. Feels like the muta investment backfired on Lambo. Kind of. The mutas were okay when it came to containing his opponents, but they didn't really trade, right? Like, they contained Solar to 3 bases, but they didn't really deal any economic damage. And again, there are a lot of Zerg players out there that would go into muta first for map control, and then they go straight into Hydras. But Lambo did make the choice to delay his Hydra tech and delay his Hive tech as well. He made the choice to commit and double down on Roach Bane Muta at the time, and that did backfire, right? He did find himself in a difficult position to recover from after that. But again, it was back and forth, you know, in the coming minutes following the failed attack. It was good. Good game. Solid, man. But here we go. Now we're getting into our next best of 2, into our next series. And ONSYDE, if Maru is able to take the 2-0, they will win this. They will win this Team League match. They will straight up take the win here. It is first to 4. Harstem, he needs to fight back. A 2-0 would be amazing. A 1 game would give Scarlett the opportunity to fight back as well, to give Scarlett the best chance at actually winning this for her team. We'll see. As for now, we do have a double gas opener out of Maru. Interesting. I say interesting because in general, Maru doesn't often go for double gas anymore. It feels like it's an opener that has fallen out of fashion in the Korean scene. So to see this out of Maru is really intriguing to me. It's basically with 2 gases you get a faster factory. So we're gonna be seeing a more aggressive style out of Maru. He delays his CC to make this happen. Delayed expansion. Meanwhile, the Reaper dips in, and we do confirm the Stargate opener of Harstem. We are aware of the would-be oracles or phoenixes. Here we go. Give you Maru voters some value, but Harstem got this. I mean, he's a fan favorite, you know, he's a fan favorite. Let's go. So again, with the faster double gas, we get the faster factory. You have a starport already on the way. Cyclone has arrived, and we do almost dive on top of that adept. I love that Maru was intentionally keeping that cyclone hidden just to try to trap the adept. But Harstem didn't fall for it, did cancel. Behind this, getting into his natural base. Again, it was a gate expand into the cyber core, into the Stargate. We have our first unit. It is not Phoenixes, it is going to be an Oracle first, and we do confirm this. Reaper dives in, confirms the Phoenix on the way. He knocks himself over the wall. Let's go. Maru knocks himself over the pylon, goes for the full scouts, confirming no additional gateways, no additional tech. Nice moves out of Maru. Again, for those that are curious, that is something you can do. It is quite difficult to pull off, but if you got the skills for it, you can grenade yourself over pylons. Meanwhile, as we get into this, a big shout out to Slammer in the I need a quote. Be merciful with your hammer. It is Slammer. Thank you so much for the raid. Thank you. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. Welcome everyone to WTL, to World Team League. We are in the middle of our final best of 7. We just wrapped up earlier with the Starving Camels versus Team Basilisk, and now we are mid-series here with ONSYDE versus Shopify Rebellion. Big hammer has come to Slammer. Regardless, maybe had a good time. As we do have Maru pushing out across the map here. Oh my god, going for a very early tank push. Again, we spoke about the earlier gases from Maru, and that has been culminating here in this tank push, getting within range of the production. Viking is going to go down, but the pylons are under threat. The Autosis pylon, it's going to go down. We depower the shield battery, which we're going to try to keep it alive. Overcharge is popped. The bunkers are not finishing, but regardless of tanks, they do so much DPS. They focus down 2 of those stalkers. Looks like one of these tanks is finally not going to go down. It refuses to die. The repairs are too good. The tank survives, and Maru snowballing out of control. The pylons are falling. The army has fallen as well. Harstem, he may have some Phoenixes, but that is not going to help here. Not anymore. He catches some reinforcements. Tank is going to go down, but the natural has been broken. Behind this, Maru, he's again pretty committed, cutting workers earlier on. Does recall to the third, and Maru, do we pivot away to the third, or do we go into the main? We're going for the third. The probes, there's no escape. They wanted to try to get out of here, but the probes, there's no safe place for them. Forced out of the third base as well. Bunker is going to be salvaged. The beasts, they come in. They try to engage here, but there are so many Marines and they just cannot touch this. GG gets called, and Maru will take game number 1. GG. That's a big water bottle. Jesus. That's bigger than Maru, Baki. Oh my god. GG, well played. Maru coming out strong here inside Delta with a very aggressive build. Harstem unfortunately wasn't able to see it coming ahead of time. He was caught a bit off guard. Unfortunately, going for Phoenixes was the ideal scenario for Maru. Maru was hoping for an investment into Phoenixes because they can't really engage with all those Marines, especially once those bunkers get up and running. Harstem could not engage, and Maru was able to snowball out of control. But here we go. This is what we've been waiting for. There are no vetoes. There are no vetoes in WTL. It's Harstem's map pick. It's going to be Radisson Station. Let's go. Ooh. The most vetoed map in the map pool. The most Protoss-friendly map in the map pool as well. And we'll see if Harstem can take advantage of the map and take advantage of Maru in the process, or can Maru punish the greed of Harstem? I'm curious. I'm very curious to see what kind of build Harstem whips out on Radisson Station. I'm ready for it. Harstem's gonna pick Radisson. Yeah, I mean, it's a common pick when it comes to Protoss players. Very common in WTL, which is why I love it, you know. Honestly, if it wasn't for WTL, I wouldn't be able to cast Radisson Station. It just wouldn't be picked. It just wouldn't be played. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the format of WTL. But here we go. We're getting ready Lobby is being set up. Now, we can go one of two ways. We can be hyper greedy on Radisson Station, or we have seen a lot of Protoss players actually try to subvert expectations and go for an all-in, like a big 2-base all-in, or some kind of cheese on Radisson Station instead, trying to hope that maybe their opponent, whether it's a Zerg or a Terran, is being too greedy and they get caught off guard instead. So we have options. We have two different playstyles available here, two different extremes, either hyper greed or hyper aggression. And here we go, in the bottom left-hand corner of Radisson Station, we have Maru for ONSYDE. And in the top right, we have his opponent. We have, for Shopify Rebellion, it is Harstem. Let's go. Let us go. I was talking a little bit about the map. I know I've been talking a lot about, you know, how it's always vetoed and it's friendly for Protoss, and to get into some details here, this is a map with a pocket base, so there's a pocket that you can take as a secure third or even fourth. So again, with that, you can get a pretty stable and secure economy early on, as Harstem is looking for proxies, making sure he doesn't get cheesed out. On top of that, there is no Reaper Cliff. There's no Reaper Cliff into the natural or the main. You have to use the standard ramp to actually get a scout off. So that's also why a lot of Terran players actually skip their Reaper in this matchup on this map. Meanwhile, Maru is going for a CC first. Bold move, but I like it. Again, this is a map where it's basically a rush to greed. It's a rush of just cutting corners. Just cut as many corners as you can, and Maru, with a CC first, is the first to do so. So Maru is going to have a boosted economy. Meanwhile, Harstem going for a gate expand. The other big feature here is that as a Protoss player, you do kind of have a door. At the natural, you can fully wall off and you'll be fine. You don't have to kill a building afterwards. There are rocks there next to that gateway that Harstem has, and once you are secure on 3 bases, you can kill those rocks and kind of open up an entryway there as well. So again, you can wall off, you can just turtle, you can try to tech up as well as a result. Now, we have been seeing a lot of Protoss players go into like fast fleet beacon into a Skytoss rush into carriers or Tempest. I wouldn't be surprised if Harstem were one to try to whip that out. For now, he's just scouting, checking the Zolnagas, making sure there's no proxies. We have seen some Terran players go for some proxy Raxes and floating into the main. There's a Stargate, a full wall off at the natural for Harstem. Doesn't have to worry about Hellion run-bys, Reapers. Nothing can really threaten him other than drop play, of course. Drop play is something that Harstem has to be ready for. Meanwhile, the probe is thrown off. And I believe Harstem saw the timing on the CC, so he should be aware of the CC first of Maru. Behind this is going to be a Stargate opener, as to be expected. Again, Stargate opener here from Harstem. With this, he should be able to securely get into Phoenix production. Maybe into an Oracle as well, as Maru is also settling into his build. As there it is, it's going to be an Oracle first out of Harstem. Bold move with the Oracle first. We can get some economic damage done, as well as scouting. Meanwhile, Maru with a reactor on that factory, making 2 Cyclones at a time. Let's go. Again, these Cyclones are just used defensively. They can, they're amazing defensively to shut down Adepts and Oracles, Phoenixes, to make sure the economy is secure. As Harstem is mining through those middle patches, and he is looking to take that third. Likewise, so is Maru. Really fast third base here from Maru, basically on location. Again, Terran players typically cannot expand in such a fashion here, but because of the map, because Maru is assuming that Harstem is also being greedy, Maru is also kind of leading Harstem in that greed. Oh my god. Almost getting a kill on that Oracle. It barely does escape. Thankfully, it does escape. As that's a Void Ray follow-up. Interesting choice. Very defensive, actually. Yeah, the Void Ray will help defensively back at home. We're rushing. Oh, let's go. We're going for a fast fusion core. Are we going BC? Let's go. Maru. Let's clown it up. Not the first time we've seen a player rush into BCs on Radisson Station, by the way. Hon Mono did something very similar over the weekend. Did something very similar against Wayne, I believe, in ESL Open Cup Americas. But yeah, this fast fusion core, it should be BC, right? I would love to see the production. I'd love to see if we have a tech lab on the starboard. The other option is Liberator range, but I don't think it's wise to rush into that. Meanwhile, Harstem back at home, he's getting into a robotics bay, into immortal production. Yeah, there it is. Battle cruisers are on the way. Vamonos. Again, this is something a little more unique to this map as well, just because you're so safe and sound, you're so secure, and Maru has such an insane economy as well compared to what you would usually see in a TVP. Yamato is being researched, which means we are committing. I would have loved to have seen a second starport for double BC production and just double down on the cloud. For now though, just one. Meanwhile, Harstem is making additional Void Rays. He's going Void Ray Colossus, building up a death ball of an army. There it is. Second starport. Second starport's on the way. We may as well see a third starport as well. We're going BC Widowmine. Oh my god. Ay. The bane of the NA ladder. Not like this. So we are just settling into mass BC. Just trying to muster up the economy for it. For the time being, Harstem is in the dark. He has no idea what's going on. Observer's moving out. We have yet to see the main. Here we go. Meanwhile, Harstem doing similar things here with a fast fleet beacon. So Harstem is rushing into Skytoss. I mentioned this before, that Skytoss rushes are very commonplace on Razit Station. In saying that, I should reiterate, this isn't really a rush into Skytoss. We, or as the observer, I think, may have just seen the production. But we invested into Colossus and a robotics bay first, before the fleet beacon. So Harstem, he waited until he was on 3-way saturation before transitioning into Skytoss. So very mature, very safe kind of tech transition from Harstem. 2 Stargates are on the way. Additional factories are coming out as well. Maru does scan the observer. He does come across it, and up. He will barely get it as well. Nice pickup. Meanwhile, the first BC is moving across the map. Yamato is done. We scan. We see the Void Rays. Battle cruisers have been revealed. We do get the Yamato. Tempest in production. Tempest, a good way to shut down BCs. But again, BCs can teleport back here. And that's a third starport on the way. +1 ship weapons. Let's go. +1 ship weapons on the horizon for Maru as well. He's going to be getting into triple battle cruiser production. You can see Harstem getting into triple Tempest production himself. Tempest, of course, they do bonus damage to massive units, and Yamato goes up. We get one, and we do teleport back home. We have another Yamato. Ooh, I don't think we can fight this head on, and yeah, we have to respect the Void Rays. Do have to back off. Battle cruisers teleport back home. We have the mass repair. So it's going to be Sky Toss against Sky Terran, essentially. And I think I favor Maru. I think the reality is that, especially if Maru's the aggressor, if Maru can be the one that pushes out, he can go in, Yamato, then teleport back home. Like, if Maru initiates, I want to favor him. If he's stuck defending, though, then maybe Harstem can make some magic happen. That's a 4th starport on the way, by the way. 4th starport in production. We have Hellions for run-bys. Meanwhile, cannons are on the way to deal with that as well. Observer does spot the BCs. Harstem should be able to rotate over to meet up with them. Should be able to respond. And really, Maru's just having fun. He's how often can you just make this work? There we go. That's 2 more starports in production. I think that's 5 in total, if I'm not mistaken. Going BC Viking. Mentioned before, it should be Sky Terran. Sky Terran versus Sky Protoss. We saw this recently on Oceanborn. I think it was Estrella versus Gumiho, if I'm not mistaken. Saw something very similar. It was Estrella Gumiho or Estrella Ryung? I think it was Gumiho. Maybe it was Ryung. As a Hellion Robot comes in, the cannons are not in position. We eviscerate the middle. Oh my god, so many probes get roasted. 10 workers go down. Harstem getting pulled apart here, not ready for the Hellion harass. 11 workers. And here come the BCs. Big temper shots though. One BC goes down. Ooh, second BC as well. Maru just wasn't able to teleport in time. Trading 2 battle cruisers for 1 Tempest. Maru getting some better trades. But that's also why Maru needs those Vikings to support. Vikings are on the way. Cyclones as well. All things anti-air. But that was a good trade for Harstem. Catching another observer. Good pickoff. Maru just gaining map control. We do have a disruptor on the way to help out. I believe that's a 6th starport in production. Got 5 just underway, working hard. Now Harstem is going to be the first player to max out. He is the first to max. He has eyes on the main army. Server in position. Harstem has to be very careful with how he engages. Again, I do stand by what I said earlier, where if Harstem's the initiator, I do favor him in a fight. Like, you saw just how heavily, how much damage those BCs sustained to the Tempest. They do so much to BCs. But again, Maru, I'm sure Maru, he's going to be hoping to try to avoid the main army. Trying to slip into a base. Clean up a mineral line, then teleport the hell out of there. And he's going for it. We have a ground army on the right-hand side. We have the BCs going straight for the pocket base. And Harstem not in position. Cyclones reveal themselves. They take down a cannon. And they're distracting Harstem. Yeah, the Tempest have been revealed, and that means that Maru can go straight for the base. Straight for the Nexus. Do we have a recall? We do have a recall, but it's too late. 18 probes go down, and what did we recall? Oh. Unfortunately, not quite able to recall in time. The base is going to go down as well. That's 21 dead workers, and from here we can just teleport back home. Maru, he has his own recall. He goes right on top of the army. Oh my god! Dives on the Tempest. Yamatos go off. Oh, massive Yamatos. And Harstem, he has to back off. He has to retreat. There's no keeping up with this. There are too many Vikings, too many BCs. The mothership goes down. Minus 300, minus 300. And Harstem, his army is crumbling. He just cannot keep up. GG gets called, and Maru will take the 2-0. GG. Oh my god. Just diving on the army. Diving on Harstem then and there, catching him out of position. And again, the Sky Terran, greater than the Sky Toss. But we already knew that. GG, well played. Maru, able to spread his wings and take flight there on Radisson Station, do something that you can't really do on other maps and just rush into battle cruisers and go mass BC, Viking as well. Really well done, and really good execution towards the end there. For a long time, Harstem, he was keeping tabs on the army. But then we saw that Maru gained map control. He took control of the Zonagas. He distracted Harstem on the right-hand side with the Cyclones. He came in from the left, and he just pulled Harstem apart. GG, well played in one fell swoop. ONSYDE takes it. ONSYDE will win this series, but Shopify, they have a chance to redeem themselves. They have a chance to fight back. Up next, Ryung versus Scarlett. Let's go. Let us go. And I'm gonna need a moment here to get those predictions going. Now, unfortunately, it means that there's no ace match, and unfortunately, it does mean that that Shopify won't be able to take this series, but they're still gonna be fighting for points, for standings, for overall scores. There is still value here in this final best of 2, and this could go either way. Scarlett, of course, in form. Recently, we were able to cast Scarlett yesterday in the IEM Europe qualifiers, and she made it to the closed qualifiers. It's going to be a long day for Scarlett. In a couple of hours, we're going to be casting Scarlett in the closed qualifiers for IEM Katowice. So she's going to be up all night, competing and playing Starcraft. And she's sinking. We have a nice cam shot of the wall behind Scarlett. Let's go. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. As we are getting ready here for our next best of 2. And if you're in the chat, predictions are open. So place your bets on how you think the series will progress. How you think the series will unfold. Scarlett has a lit room. I'm pretty sure, I could be mistaken. I wouldn't be surprised if a home story cup, Scarlett's in Europe at the moment, especially with the IEM qualifiers. I wouldn't be surprised if she's at like the Shopify team house, like if there is one. But yeah, I'm not entirely certain if she's at home at the moment in Canada. I think she may be sticking in Europe because of Home Story Cup and the qualifiers. But otherwise, let us know if you are aware. But now that we are just going to be diving into game number 1 here in Sporting, in the bottom right hand corner of Oceanborn, we have for ONSYDE Ryung, the Tuna Terran, with a new ONSYDE jersey. And in the top left, we have his opponent. We have the Canadian Zerg for Shopify, Scarlett. Let's go. Here we go. So we have our best of 2. Again, Ryung rocking new jackets. On top of that, Ryung, he does have a home field advantage. We are Oceanborn, and Ryung is a tuna, so we are under the sea. So Scott's gonna have to try to overcome that, and I want to believe that we can get a back and forth series here, or we can get points on the board for Shopify. We'll see. The pressure is on. Ryung is no slouch. I think a lot of people they kind of overlook Ryung. And it's easy to overlook Ryung just because he's on a team of champions, right? Like Maru and Solar, they're both GSL champions this year. Like, they are both some of the best players in Korea and the world. And Ryung, he's, you know, he's more of like a, I don't want to say like an older, but he's like more of an older brother to Maru. You know, he's there to help coach him, to help guide him, help mentor him, and impart some of his wisdom. Ryung has said himself that, you know, he knows that he's not as fast as Maru, but like, knowledge-wise, like the mindset, the brain, it's there. And that's typically showcased in TVT. Like, we've seen Ryung beat Clem, we've seen Ryung beat Byeon and Gumiho. Like, TVT is Ryung's speciality because of how solid he is at positional play. When it comes to some of these other matchups, it's a little bit different. Now, we have seen Ryung take down Dark. Like, Ryung, he has some really crisp, like, 8 Raxes, for example. And Oceanborn isn't a bad map for something like that, but we'll see. We'll see how Ryung does perform. Ryung is also willing to play mech. That's another thing to bear in mind. Ryung, he can play bio, he can play mech, he can do it all. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does whip out mech at some point in this series as... No, the clean feed. Oh, he's going to be struggling a little bit here. Not like this. And hopefully we're oh no. Not now. Don't take us away. I do apologize. For those curious, we are all the casters are covering. Sorry, they're casting from the clean feed. The clean feed is provided by SE Boy, by the Chinese organizers, by the casters, and we were having issues earlier today, and it looks like the issues may have returned. No, it was so good earlier. It was so smooth. Let him know. Yeah, we'll let them know. Yeah, Crank is letting them know as well. So here we go. The first Reaper has arrived. Going to be dancing with these Lings. Scarlett did go for a hatch gas pull in towards the third base as well. Thank you so much, BKA. Thank you for resubscribing. We do appreciate the support. Thank you so much. I accidentally missed the first 4 games of the series, and I'm going to take this opportunity to go back and rewatch. Fair enough. Really good games. Really good games were had so far, and this is, I'm sure, going to be another really good series, as we do have a third CC4 starport. Very economic follow-up here by Ryung. So standard opener out of Scarlett, economic opener out of Ryung. They are aware that there's a little bit of latency here, but I don't know if they can do anything about it here mid-game. So Oh, we have to just try to deal with it, unfortunately. Hopefully we can settle into this. Maybe Twitch is a little bit better. Oh, maybe. Hold on, I got you. Oh, no, it's... Never mind. I thought it might be a little bit better here, but the latency is still there as well. Ay. We'll try to pause for a moment. Hold on. We'll try to pause for a moment here. To try to catch up and hopefully to try to recover. Hold on, we'll be back. Okay. Hopefully it's good. So I do apologize for some of the technical issues here, but yeah, the clean feed is lagging a little bit. So we're doing so well, but it has been lagging, so hopefully it's smooth sailings here on forward. Meanwhile, again, just to reiterate, it was an economic opener out of Ryung, going for a fast 3cc. Meanwhile, oh, it is going to be 3cc Banshee here from Ryung. So far, Scarlett's a bit in the dark, hasn't quite gone into the main yet, getting into her own opener. Nothing too fancy outside of that. Scarlett just going to be droning, saturating her bases, getting her 3-way saturation up and running. No! As we're going to try and power through this. We'll do our best. As again, Banshees are on the way. Ergo's going to be chased down. The Hellions have been revealed. Scarlett should be throwing down some safety spore crawlers soon, just to be able to, again, defend against said Banshees. And we should be able to ease in towards the mid-game. Big shot on that one, though. Not like this. But yeah, all the streams are having these issues, unfortunately, and there's nothing we can really do about it, outside of maybe getting into the game. We'll just have to try to power through it. For now, oh, Scarlett actually going into roaches. Okay, that is not something that I was expecting here, but yeah, going to be getting into Roach Ravager here as a response. The Hellions, they do dive towards the natural bases. There are some Lings in position, but the Lings are getting roasted, and we're going straight for the mineral line. The Queens, they can't quite keep up. Do we get in? Do we get in? We do, kind of. We get one worker, but it looks like Ryung is going to be zoned away, and Scarlett will preserve that mineral line. Again, I do apologize for the latency here. I said this before, but for those that are curious, the reason why sometimes there's some connection issues with the clean feed is because the organizers of this tournament of WTL are based in China, and they actually send the clean feed through a VPN to actually get it to us. Otherwise, they just, can't gain access to the outside world. So they kind of they send the clean feed through a VPN, and sometimes it's unstable. Sometimes it is shaky. As the Banshee does slip in, it does get a couple of worker kills here at the natural. 5 workers. Pretty good, actually, here for this one Banshee. The Banshee's still alive, going straight for the main. Will the game not be lagging as well? No. It's just the feed is lagging, not the it's not lag from like the observer. It's the connection between them and the outside world. Wow. But for now, again, has 7 worker kills at this point. Behind this, Ryung is just getting into his third base. You mentioned before that because it was a 3CC opener, Ryung is looking to get into the mid game. I am surprised that Scarlett is going Roach Ravager of all things. Not a bad composition. From here, eventually we can transition into either Lurkers or Ling Bane. For now, we are committing though to Roach Ravager, which has been spotted, has been confirmed. Ryung is aware of it. He is aware. 1-1 is on the way. Ryung working on a 4CC, so he's not going for a 3-way all-in. I did mention earlier that 8 Raxes have been in the repertoire of Ryung, but is not going in that direction. He's going for the 4th. Taking his gases, getting into a second factory, just easing into a later game. And in a pretty good position. He dealt a good amount of economic damage earlier, and now he's going to hit the field with his drop play. It's going to be on Scarlett to try to maintain her economy, especially with a Roach Ravager army. It's going to be a little bit difficult. Not the most mobile of compositions from Scarlett. Going for Roach Ravager. Why don't they give observers to other casters? Because they only clean feed with WTL. If things get really bad, they may invite us to go into game for the next. They may invite us to go in game for the next game, for game 2. But we'll see. As the Marines, they do dive forward, cleaning up some of this creep. In general, clean feeds are better because it means you have less variance when it comes to other casters ping affecting players. On top of that, when you don't make a clean feed, when you have a regular lobby, you're limited with how many casters can actually get in, because lobbies do have limits to how many people can actually enter them. That's why for big events like IEM, DreamHack, they all do clean feed. They all provide clean feeds for the other language streams, just as a fun fact. Just because there are just too many casters. Too many casters, so they can't all get in. Okay. As the game is going to be selling from here, Ryung trying to go for some multi-prong harassment. We have a double drop on the right, we have a drop here towards the south. So far, hasn't really been able to achieve too much with it. So far, Scarlett is keeping up, forcing back the Marines, forcing back the drops. Ryung not quite finding much damage, and Scarlett is going to be the first to be able to max out. Infestors are on the way. As here comes the drop of Ryung. Going right for the 4th base, right for the mineral line. I'm not sure if we have units in position for Scarlett. I think we do. Here we have some queens, but they're being focused down. Queens are going to be falling. But we only have the queens who don't get into the mineral line, and it's... I do apologize. Whiles, they do connect. Do connect with the Marines. Scarlett forcing back the army, has maxed out actually. As it looks like we may have caught up. Not quite. Not quite. As upon maxing out Scarlett, I guess she's going to be waiting for 2-2. 2-2 still on the horizon here for our Zerg player. Without it, not ideal to actually try to break out. So Ryung, he has time to recover, to set himself up here on his 4 bases. 4th on the way. Still heavily reliant on bio tank. A couple of Widow Mines sprinkled in. Eventually finds finds an infestor. Doesn't quite get it. Clutch transfuse keeps the infestor alive. Now let's keep the Infestor alive. As we see Scarlett just rotating out towards the south. Yeah, I just double checked to see if Roddy and Wardy were having the same issues they are. Smurge, man, smurge. We do catch some of the Infestors. Oh my god! Bit of mispotting there from Scarlett. The Infestors, they go down. They do go down. And I'm a little bit concerned because Scarlett has been stuck with Roach Ravager for quite some time. And over the course of this game, she's going to be outscaled. Ryung, he's closing the distance, he's maxing out himself. There was a time where Scarlett was up 40 supply, that is no longer the case. 2 tours on the horizon for both players, and Scarlett is taking up in a different direction. I assume that she would be going into Lurkers, into Hydra Lurker Viper, but no, we have an Ultra Cavern on the way instead. Ultra's going to be on the way instead for Scarlett. They won't have the best upgrades because we have range instead of melee, so a bit of an awkward transition, but I mean, we're teching nonetheless. We'll see if it works out. I'm not entirely convinced, but we'll see. As both players are still just vying for map control. Both players have maxed out. Again, Scarlett with a subpar army. Both players are maxed, but the soup does lie. Scarlett going to try and trade. Picking off a couple of mines, a couple of marines here and there. Ultra Cavern is about to finish. And from here we can start mixing in some ultras and at least working on those upgrades. Ryung breaking free. Scarlett ignores the drop, by the way. Oh my. Tries to push forward, runs into tank fire. Oh, and Ryung, he may just find a base. Oh yeah, there's no turning around. This hatchery, it's gonna go down. Big pick off here from Ryung. Meanwhile, Scarlett going for a counterattack, going for the third. Takes off a sensor tower. But let's take some big tank shots to the face. And I'm concerned here that Ryung is going to start, again, snowballing out of control. For now, his drop is deterred across the map. And Scarlett does push in once again. We get some deepers. Potentially some SCVs. Again, there is an opening here because Ryung did go for a drop at the same time. Oh, and his supply blocked. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, it is supply block, going for a massive quadruple drop across the map. Pretty risky move here from Ryung. He does expose his tanks, but Scarlett doesn't go for it. She doesn't try to push in. And the goal here for Ryung to deny the 4th. This is kind of one of the big things about Oceanborn. The 4th and the 5th are so exposed. They're so spread out as well. And Ryung, he can just knock down these bases over and over again. One tank does get piled down, but here we go. We dive in. And this hatchery's going to fall. There's no saving it. Hatchery will go down. At the same time, Ryung coming in for another double drop on the left-hand side. Scarlett's being pulled apart. 2 bases going down. 8 workers as well, and Scarlett is still stuck on Roach Ravager. I mean, sure, we have some Infestors and Fungals, but it's not ideal. And Scarlett, she gets knocked down to 3 bases. Files do connect. Big connections from Scarlett. She does hold on to that hatchery on the left-hand side, is trying to double expand. Ultras are on the way. There are no ghosts. The Ghost Academy just now starts. This is a late Ghost Academy for Ryung. Liberator production has commenced. There is a window. There's an opportunity here where maybe these Ultras can work out for Scarlett. The Fungal! The flanking Fungal! Does catch a good chunk of Marauders. But we have drop play here at the natural. We could even try to go for the Ultra Cavern. Reinforcements are racing back home. Looks like Scarlett, she's going to be able to save that Ultra Cavern. Ultras are popping out. Kindness plating is done. Ultra speed on the way. The miles! Oh my god. Not quite connecting. And as Ryung is dancing with that army back at home, he's going for another drop across the map, and he's looking to deny the base again for a second time. Scarlett has a bank. She has 5k minerals in the bank, actually. Can remax with Lings, at least. Oh, but not trading well against these Marauders. A lot of Roaches go down, Ravagers as well. The Ultra Army still just banking up. Where are those ghosts, by the way? The Ghost Academy is done, but still no ghosts. Here we go. The Ultras, they reveal themselves. Big bungle on the army. Liberation zones, they have arrived. We have freedom. We do have freedom. Scarlett being forced back once again. We do have the Spire on the way for Corruptors from potentially Broodlords. For Ryung, he's establishing another base. Looking to get the better economy. Scarlett down to 66 workers. That is 3 base saturation here for Scarlett. Is going for a Roach counterattack. There is potential. There is potential for damage. Army going to be engaging. We're looking for a good fungal. The Ultra's diving on forward once again. There's only one lib here. Tank line looking a little bit thinned out. Good biles. And it looks like this counterattack is going to get on top of that planetary. The repair is not good enough. The planetary, it should go down. Up. Just barely. Planetary will fall. 16 SCVs. And Scarlett, can she pull this off? Takes out a base, takes out a mineral line. Gets on top of some of those tanks. Not a bad moment here for Scarlett. Finally, like, crippling the economy or doing some damage to the economy of Ryung. The Ghost, big pickoffs. 2 Ghosts go down. Ryung doesn't have the biggest bank. We can't afford to throw away Ghosts like that. And even though Ryung was doing so well with his drop play earlier, even though he was knocking down the 4th, knocking down the 5th, now suddenly Scarlett has momentum. Suddenly Scarlett is in the driver's seat. Engaging once again. Bowser take down another lib. Ryung rotating around. Still trying to reestablish that planetary, that 4th base. Now it's an orbital. Now as the orbital. Scarlett likewise doesn't have the biggest gas bank either, so this is still pretty close actually. I feel like we're one bad fight away from Ryung snowballing out of control. Scarlett has to be very careful here. Snipes go off the Ghosts once again. The Ghosts, they get exposed. They're going to be going down as well. Big pickoffs. Ryung being a little bit too careless with his army. 4th base is denied. Well, I guess the 5th base is denied. Ryung, though, expanding on the left-hand side. Throwing down 2 more starports, getting to mass lib. Tunneling Claws is done. We can go for some Roach Harass. The last thing Ryung really expects. If there are no turrets in position, then maybe Scarlett can get into some mineral lines. Oh, there's a turret outside the 3rd. Not too sure if there's one outside the natural. Ultra switching forward. Take down the turret. Good fungal on the Ghost. The Ghost once again. 2 of them go down. This keeps happening. We keep leading out like 2, 3 Ghosts at a time. Meanwhile, the Roaches, they just go straight for the natural base. The wall is solid. Roach is going to be going down, but they get 6 SCVs. And this is good because we want to get rid of these Roaches. Roaches, they've kind of... The era of the Roach has come and gone. That's a lot of Ultras. Libs are going ham. A rough trade for Scarlett, actually. That was like, what, 3 or 4 Ultras going down? That was pretty expensive. Was expensive. Speaking of, we have to scan again to clean up these Roaches. No, one escapes. No shot. One does waddle away. As Ryung is getting to Mass Liberator, we have Corruptors on the horizon here for Scarlett. They are on the way. Ryung finally breaking free from his contain, trying to go for some harass. Oh, taking the space is ambitious. I don't think we can. The Ultra's already in position. We do snipe a hatchery though. Ryung, he may not be able to expand, but he does take down the base. Scarlett though, expanding all throughout. The Corruptors, they've arrived. The Corruptors are here. They shut down the drops. And with the arrival of these Corruptors, it looks like Scarlett should be able to shut this down. The drop play has been doing well for Ryung, but not for much longer. We have another drop on the left-hand side. We do snipe another hatchery. But these medevacs, it's a one-way trip. This time we do split them up. I do like this. Oh no, the spore! Oof. The order goes down. Ryung, he is fighting back. But again, the problem is that he hasn't been trading efficiently. Like, if Ryung had been preserving his ghost, then it would be a different story, but you can see that whenever Ryung gets any gas, he spends it immediately. He just hasn't been able to build up that bank, and... Do you get the microbial shroud? Just to be safe. It's all good, and here we go. Scarlett going for the kill move, going right towards that natural. Takes down a couple of these Liberators. Good snipes from the Ghosts. Oh my god, very good snipes actually. We may take down some of those libs, but that was a costly trade. That was 6 Ultras and 6 Corruptors going down. An expensive fight for Scarlett. The power of the Ghost. But now here come the Broodlords. Now what I will say is that Ghosts are ideal against all things Zerg at this stage, against Ultras, Corruptors, Broodlords, Lurkers. So Ryung, he scans, he does see the army. He's getting ready for it. Immediately he's transitioning into Vikings. He doesn't have any Vikings yet, bear that in mind. The Vikings are not ready. So there's a window. There's a window where these Broodlords, they can make some magic happen. They can push out. Meanwhile, another drop on the left-hand side is going to snipe that base again. Scarlett still has a good economy though. Still has top right. Fourteen Ultras have died this game. Aye, aye, aye. SCVs being sent to their deaths. Not like this. Throwing them away. Now the reality is that because Scarlett has been mining from fresh bases, Ryung is starving out. He's running out of minerals. He's running out of mineral patches. He's running out of money. He needs another base desperately. Plaza going to be connecting. Scarlett pushing towards the natural. Oh, and she's camping the production as well. The starports. The starports and the factories. One starport's going to go down. Big pickup. And so will another. We can even get a factory as well. And that's the Ghost Academy. No shot. The Ghost Academy. The Ghosts are coming in, but they can't engage. Okay, the Broodlords, they do back off for now. Big pickoffs. So here come those Ghosts, but they expose themselves. Fungal not quite there. Looks like we got one Ghost. Ah, the EMPs, they miss. No shot. You do barely get the snipe. So some good moments here from Ryung. He is able to max out. Does remax. Liberator sieging forward. Scarlett still with a good enough economy. We do get the scan on that Infestor. Infestor does barely escape. Fungal catches some of the army. Broodlord's pushing forward. And we're going for the snipes. Nice snipes here on the Corruptors and even some of the Broodlords as well. Good pickoffs. Okay, the snipes are brutal. But the Broodlord count though is getting higher, and again, Scarlett, she's transitioned into Broodlord Corruptor. Sorry, Broodlord Infestor. Ryung being a little bit ambitious with his army. Moving out with those ghosts. The fresh mining base has been spotted, and Ryung, he has to evacuate. And the SVs are going to get the hell out of there. Bailey's they crash on in. Here come those ghosts. 13 SCVs fall. Do you get one Ultra? Oh, and additional Ultras are going to get picked off as well. A good trade here from the Terran. One Ultra barely does escape. And Scarlett wasn't quite in position with her Infestors. And Ryung is pushing. Yeah, he knows he has momentum after losing all those Ultras. Fungal does connect on the Vikings. But the Bio Army just mowing through that Ultra. Can we get the snipes? We're getting on top of the Broodlords, and massive snipes are going to be going off. Oh my god! And Ryung, he's breaking through, gets on top of the Broodlords. There's only 4 left. Only 3. And Scarlett forced to retreat. We have 7 Ultras in production, but every single Broodlord goes down. And Ryung, if he can camp the production, he can pick off 1 Ultra at a time. We have Ghosts left over. We have Snipes. All it took was 1 good fight, 1 overextension from Scarlett. And Ryung, he's getting into the natural. Now, there are 7 Ultras, but they're coming in. Oh, they're trickling in. The surround. The army is overstimmed. It looks like Scarlett, she can clean this up. Yeah, it looks like Ryung, he's trying to pull back to the safety of those Liberators. The mines. The mines are about to go off. Show us. No. Don't lag out. Show us the mines. Oh my god. Can Ryung make it back to those Liberators after this break? Oh my god. Massive connections on the Lings at least. And we do pull back to the Liberators. The Freedom Zones, are they enough? The reinforcements, we have some Ghosts coming in as well. We have some Snipes. Oh, with these Snipes, I think Ryung, can he clean it up? He doesn't get the Snipes off. Doesn't get them off. Ryung loses his entire army, and Scarlett has held. She has the better economy. GG gets called, and Scarlett will take game number 1. Whew. Oh my god. God, that was quite tense. That was very intense there from our players, from Scarlett and Ryung. Went the distance there. It's quite back and forth, and I'm curious. Where are we at? As unfortunately, we still have some connection issues here with our clean feed. Things were okay for a while. Things weren't too bad for like a portion of that game at least, but yeah, clearly there are still issues here, and I'm trying to sneak in. Let's see. No. As we are picking our second map, trying to get into our second game. It looks like game 2 is going to be on hard lead, and it looks like there's no way we can find a way in. Smooch. Not like this. Not like this. But yeah. From here, I guess we're going to try to yeah. Hopefully the clean feed is able to stabilize. I mean, I can't really do anything from my end, you know. It's like, what can I do? What can I do, Papi? Smooch. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. I am Live VIP from a couple of days in the future. Actually, if you're seeing this, You may be aware that during this broadcast of WTL of World Team League, unfortunately there were some connectivity issues. There were some issues when it comes to how stable the clean feed was. There was a little bit of timeouts or lagouts, and that culminated actually here in game number 2 of Ryung versus Scarlett. That culminated in, of course, in the clean feed actually dropping. The clean feed did actually drop entirely, and as a result, no one, ourselves or anyone else that was live casting the event, actually was able to cover the finale of Ryung versus Scarlett. It was actually a really big shame. It wasn't until after the broadcast ended where they'd realized, oh, the feed dropped. Oh my god. And unfortunately, because that no one was able to see the finale of this. I say the finale, I think it dropped like 2 minutes in, like 2 minutes or so into the game itself. So we didn't really get to experience it, which is why, thankfully, the WTL organizers and admins did actually give out that replay to the casters, to the people that, of course, can cover WTL. We were one of them, and thankfully we have it here and now. So this is a little bit different. It does mean I'm actually recording this offline, and I'm going to be kind of splicing this or adding this to the VOD on YouTube. So thankfully, we can experience what happened here in game number 2 between Ryung and Scarlett. I am here for it. I'm ready for it. Let us dive on in. Again, for those that are curious, unfortunately, I think we say this even during the broadcast itself, there is, unfortunately, the way that the WTL organizers are able to connect and give us the clean feed isn't the most stable of things, and usually it's fine, to be honest. Like, in the seasons of WTL we've covered, usually everything's fine, usually it is stable. It's just recently it has been a little bit, a little bit iffy, a little bit unstable, and it's been leading to some of these issues. But for the most part, it's all been good, and I'm sure things will be cleared up when it comes to the final week, the final round of WTL, which is round 11, as well as the playoff bracket next year. So I want to believe that the issues will be resolved by then, and we'll have a smooth broadcast in the coming weeks. But until then, let us dive into Scarlett vs. Ryung, game number 2, Hardland. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Hardland, we have the Canadian Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Shopify Rebellion, leading this best of 2, 1-0. It is Scarlett. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have her opponent. We have the South Korean Terran, the blue Terran, representing ONSYDE Gaming. Sorry, Team ONSYDE. It is Ryung. So because I'm recording this after the fact, unfortunately the overlays aren't as fancy. I don't have the player cams on, I don't have them available, unfortunately. Likewise, I don't have the score on top of the screen, but regardless, I believe ONSYDE have been having a dominant performance here in this series, but Scarlett is looking to fight back for herself, for her team, and put some points on the board, and so far so good. But can we go the distance here? I'm here for it. So far, we do have a hatch gas pool set up here, a standard opener from Scarlett. Likewise, Ryung going for the high ground racks as well. This is something really interesting with Ryung. I'm curious if maybe he's not as confident with his control. Like, he has really good macro and really good like game sense and positional play as well. But Ryung never quite did adapt the Beyond opener, the low ground 2 racks Reaper. It is something that, of course, Maru and Beyond had kind of concocted, or I say concocted, had refined together last year in around November-ish, around DreamHack Atlanta. Alongside them, of course, afterwards, Cure has adopted it quite a lot as well. Cure, he's one to really embrace it. A lot of the Korean Terrans actually, we've even seen Bunny recently whip it out. But Ryung, less so. He never quite took to it. I'm not too sure as to why. Again, I assume it does have a lot to do with maybe he's stuck in his ways, or maybe he's just not too confident in his overall Reaper control early on, doesn't want to deal with that, and is content to just go for a standard racks expand. Standard opener here from Ryung. Meanwhile, we do have Scarlett dipping in, just confirming this as well, confirming the lack of racks here on the low ground, and the single racks in the main as well. So Scarlett gets full scan information before sending this overload over towards that pillar. The first Reaper is moving out. Moving across the map, Scarlett, of course, ready with a hatch gas pool. Lings are on the way, Queens are on the way as well. Shouldn't be losing too much here. There's going to be a bit of a dance between the Reapers and the Lings. And ideally here, even if a Ling goes down, it's okay as long as you don't lose a drone. will be worth it here for Scarlett, pulling back some of those weakened Lings. Oh, one Ling does get picked off, but the Reaper is going to be falling back. Behind this, we have our opener. It is going to be a fast 3rd CC, so 3rd CC before Starport. Very standard, very economic here from Ryung. It is as to be expected. And yeah, with that, we're getting into a standard game. This can also, depending on the add-on placements, can also lead into Starport play. Sorry, I say Starport. Into Banshee play. We get the Tech Lab on the racks, and we can go for the add-on swap. Until then, though, we're just getting our setup going. Also have confirmation it's not a 3cc 2-on-1. It is in a faster 2nd racks. It is in the factory. Ryung, he's more than willing to embrace mech, but not doing so here. And opting to go for a 2nd Marine just to try to shut down any kind of scouting overlord. Marines are being fanned out here just to make sure that we are keeping Scarlett in the dark. Meanwhile, Reapers across the map could be once again dancing with those Lings, not quite picking anything off. Scarlett pretty safe here on her 3-base setup, now soon to be saturating her 3rd. Again, it's all about the queens and the droning for the time being. A handful of Lings can be made as well just to make sure we can deny a Hellion dive. Speaking of the Hellions, they have arrived. And as we saw, there was no add-on swap, there was no Tech Lab on the racks as the Starport was being built, which is why there's no Banshee. Instead, we're going for Hellion Liberator. Let's go. With this, Hellions are going to be threatening one side, and Liberator is going to be threatening the other. The goal here is to try to force these queens out of position, either for the Hellions to deal damage or for the Liberator to deal damage instead. One or the other. And of course, because we didn't have an add-on swap, we get a much faster stim. So yeah, really aggressive variation here. It is a little bit more difficult to get damage done because you don't have the flexibility of a Banshee. Likewise, if Scarlett was going for roaches, then Ryung would be in a little bit more trouble as well. As we can see, no roaches. It's just, for now, Lings and Queens from Scarlett. There's no threat of any kind of major timing early on. The threat would be possible here, especially on Hardlead. Hardlead does have a short rush distance by ground, but Scarlett, she's not really one to embrace the roach as much as some of these other Zerg players, like Cham or like Dark, for example, as she is, or even Wayne, as she is going for that lair. Pretty solid lair timing. We do see a couple of queens here on the right-hand side. That's a lot of Hellions, though. We have 8 Hellions here. We could even try to run past the queen. Instead, we just killed the... Why? We could just kill the queen, true. That's exactly how many Hellions we have. At the same time, Liberator queued up to head into that natural base, and there it is. Does queue up into the natural. Hellions, they end up killing one of the queens. They keep the queens busy, actually. And we get 3 worker kills here at that natural base. Pretty good damage so far here by Ryung. Going to be repositioning that Lib. Meanwhile, at the same time, the Lings, they go for a big counterattack. The Hellions are not back at home. They're racing back home, actually. Marines are going to be going down. SCVs are being pulled. We don't quite kill too many workers yet. Good reaction out of Ryung, pulling back those SCVs. He will clean this up, not before losing a handful of workers. So 3 SCVs going to be going down. At the same time, the Lib across the map is unable to deal too much damage. The queens are able to keep up as well. Spore does reposition. Looks like we can maybe kill one queen. Ooh, do get that 2nd queen. The Hellions are done cleaning up those Lings, and now we're moving out across the map once again. And are we in position? We've got a lot of queens here to rotate over. We should be okay. All in all, that was 3 worker kills from this Liberator, even going for some Overlords, and 2 Queen kills. Not too bad. But again, thankfully, because of that Ling run by, Ryung was forced back home. That was able to give Scarlett enough breathing room to just build up a solid Ling count, to have all these Queens respread all that creep, and to stabilize back at home. Speaking of stabilizing, that Liberator still poses a threat. As we do get into the main base, we get another drone kill, 4 in total. Meanwhile, the Hydra Den is done. Scarlett going into Lingbane Hydra. And I say Lingbane Hydra. Recently, Scarlett has been very fond of going like for this heavy Hydra composition with mixed results. I haven't been too in love with it. We saw it in the IEM qualifiers, and I'm sure we saw a glimpse of it here in WTL as well. It's yeah, really interesting style that, again, you know, at times works, at other times doesn't. The problem with the style is that if the Lingbane army ever gets cleaned up, because it's that much smaller as well, because it's so heavily reliant on Hydras, again, if it ever does get thinned out, then the bio army of Ryung just goes to town on the Hydras and trades so efficiently, and Hydras are surprisingly expensive as well. Losing big chunks of Hydras can really set you behind. For now, though, we're just building ourselves up. Again, Ling main Hydra. Meanwhile, the first push is upon us. Ryung pushing on the right-hand side. That's a lot of creep. That's a lot of creep to go through. Scarlett, of course, a bit of a signature move to just had an insane creep spread, and we even missed some of the active tumors, so the creep is not going to recede. Anyway, here we go again. That pure Hydra army has arrived. Do we have much else? We don't. No Lings, no Banelings, just Hydras. Again, this is very unique to Scarlett. I'm sure there are other players that do this as well, but again, based on our experience covering and casting Starcraft here, she's the, at least to my knowledge, she's the only one that does this and embraces the Hydra this much. I know Miyamika, he has his own Ling Hydra style, but it's very different. It's very different to this. Even Mio doesn't go pure Hydra. He goes mass Ling with Hydras to support instead of Banelings, and he hits very crisp timings. This is a more macro style out of Scarlett. Maybe inspired by Miyamika, I'm not too sure. But the rocks are being knocked down. We just see Ryung moving out with a double drop here on the left-hand side. Likewise, a double drop towards the north. We'll see if Ryung cannot pull Scarlett apart. Looks like we're going to try to catch some of these queens. And we will get one. One queen goes down. We try to get a second. We have a clutch transfuse, and the Marines are being forced back. Hot pick up. We leave some Marines behind, but we do save most of them. Do get the hell out. Get out of here, no! Oh my god. A full medevac goes down. Big pick off there by Scarlett. At the same time, towards the south, we do go for another push, but alas, Scarlett is in position. Ryung is being forced back. Again, when it came to this northern drop here, it looks like we were supposed to queue back a little bit further, but bit of miscontrol, bit of a misclick, and Ryung does lose a full medevac. Now, Scarlett has momentum. Scarlett is maxed out. Looking at the army here, 26 Hydras, almost as many Hydras as there are Lings. Finally, a couple of Banelings are on the way. Infestors as well to help lock down the army, to throw down those fungal growths. And Scarlett, she's getting ready to encroach upon this third. Has to be careful to come in prematurely. We have a lot of Hellbats to support. We have, what is that, 4 tanks in position. But Scarlett coming in for basically a surround. She does come across the CC. Ryung, he's aware. Banelings gonna be rolling on in. We only have a handful of Banelings, but they will connect. They crash into the Marines, into those Hellbats. Alas, Ryung, he is holding. Doesn't lose his tanks. Does still have them in position. Looks like one tank went down. That 4th base is going to be denied. And the win condition for Scarlett, deny the 4th. That's the win condition. Just contain Ryung 2-3 bases. Scarlett is maxed out. Has to be very careful with this Hydra army. Again, it's very expensive, very vulnerable. 2 Hydras get picked off. At the same time, the Ling Bane runs in. Doesn't get into the mineral line. Good reaction there out of Ryung. He does pull back in time. Meanwhile, the Hydra army does turn back around, this time with Lings to support. The Ling's going to be buffering while the Hydras get their damage done. But again, as the Ling count gets thinned out, we've got to respect this. We've got to back off. Scarlett will pull back. Meanwhile, additional Infestors are on the way. Scarlett trying to dive on this army. Nightshot's going to be going off. There's one tank in position behind this. Scarlett still splitting off her forces, though, still trying to figure out how she wants to engage. And these tanks are looking a little bit vulnerable. There's not much to protect them. Looks like Ryung has realized. He gets in position. Just rushes on over with that stim. His face getting very low behind this. Hive is done for Scarlett. We have 86 workers, a solid base count as well. Working towards a 6th. Scarlett, she's in full control of this game, and Ryung is just stuck at home. And now we pivot around, we rotate around right towards this 3rd. And this time we should be able to break it. Decent fungals here on the Marines. First tank goes down. And the Banelings, they try to cash up forward. We're running out of Ling Bane. Another big fungal, another tank falls. And here we should back off. The Hydras. The Hydras are on their own, and we're going to shut all of this down. The Infestors fall, the Hydras as well. Ryung, he's able to trade well against the Hydra army, but did lose control of this base. His tank count was almost reset, lost a lot of workers, and is denied his 3rd. Meanwhile, Scarlett can remax. For kind of. Again, losing all those Hydras was expensive. I'm afraid to look. That was 20 dead Hydras in that fight, and we have 8 left. 8 left. We're trying to replenish that. We're trying to rebuild that. Infestors are being on the way once again. We've got 2-2 on the way at the same time. Again, interesting that we're prioritizing 2-2 instead of +3 carapace, but that is because we're so heavily reliant on these Hydras. And again, this position becoming a little bit weaker. Scarlett rushing on forward, getting us around. Does catch a portion of the Marine army. We still have to respect it. Again, there are tanks behind this. 3-3 on the way for Ryung. Meanwhile, a double job moving out towards the left-hand side, looking to deny the 7th base. Meanwhile, as that's happening, we have Scarlett pushing in, this time with Vipers. We have a couple of blinding clouds, big bungle as well. The Banelings, oh my god, they crash in. Big connection. Scarlett, though, is going to be distracted by this drop. And never mind, she tries to fight back. Goes to the power bomb on the army. That's going to be, I believe, a kill. No, that was a cancel on that 7th base. Touch cancel there by Scarlett. She has to respect this. Is going to rotate over. Do we have any abductions available? The Vipers are just gathering up energy. They will be able to shut this down. Scarlett even borrowing some units here in position. I love it. That's actually really cool. A way to leave some army here, but also make it look undefended to try to surprise and catch that drop. Very nicely done. Well, Scarlett once again rotating around, trying to get on top of this base. CC taking a lot of damage. You do get one of the tanks. Oof. Taking Windmine to the face though. Scarlett just remaxing here. Ryung not too far behind in army supply. Because he's been able to just weather the storm and defend for so long, his army supply is getting larger and larger. This 4th base has been up and running and left undisturbed for quite some time. This 3rd is exposed though. It has been forced lift a couple of times at this point. Scarlett coming in once again, wants to shut this down. Forcing lift is the bare minimum here. Denying mining, meanwhile bailing. Oh my god, the mine shots! So many bailings get wasted. Scarlett getting a little bit ambitious there. Not a good trade. And Ryung, again, he's just turtling up until he maxes out, and then he can push out. He can move out across the map and go for the kill. Still not quite there yet. Going for a double drop. At the same time, a double drop here on the right-hand side. A couple of workers going to be going down. We can pick up. We can get the hell out of here. Do we have any Vipers? We do. A little bit late to the party. Drops will escape at the same time, moving out here towards the left-hand side. It looks like, oh, we did evacuate those units. Those lings that were left behind, not anymore. So we get a decent fungal. Queen's moving a little bit too far forward. Oh, yeah, we're trickling on in here. Not the best trade from Scarlett. Actually down in supply. Scarlett missing a bit of a macro cycle there. Get some medevacs, but we do need to make an army. Ryung is maxed. Ryung with more than double the army supply here. Hatchery's going to be going down. Scarlett remaxing with 62 lings and 7 hydras. Getting some decent connections. Shuts down a couple of marines, but again, Ryung has maxed out. Okay, so from here, because of Ryung's supply, what he's waiting for, because this has been happening, is an attack from Scarlett. Is to absorb one more attack, and if Ryung trades well enough, he can push out. He can unsiege, unburrow, and move across the map. But again, he's waiting for one good fight. And is Scarlett going to give it to him? Behind this, we got 3-3 on the way. We have Greater Spire as well, for potentially Broodlords. Do we have an Ultra Cavern? No Ultra Cavern, no Lurker Den, so Greater Spire is the tech of choice. We have some links here towards the left-hand side, and we're pushing in. Tara's going to be going down. Ghost Academy's on the way. Ryung not quite set up here to deal with high-tech units, but Ghosts are not required yet. And the double drop once again, checking for a 7th base. Medevacs being forced back. Once again, a mass Hydra army. I say mass 22 Hydras. Acceptable. Dancing with these Marines, picking up a Medevac even. Very nicely done. And here we go, Scarlett getting ready to dive in. We have Ling Bane towards that 3rd base. We have the other main army not quite engaging yet. Forcing a lift, getting 4 more SCVs. Ryung down to 56. That's a lot of Widowmines. It's a lot of Widowmines available here for Ryung. Okay, we're looking for a good fungal. Or just a good engage in general here. Investors moving forward. Good fungal here on the Marines. Oh my god. Now the Ling Bane can roll forward. Trying to force some friendly fire. A good chunk of Widowmines do get picked off. But Ryung does move out. Again, he is slightly ahead in army supply, but pushing onto creep. Oh no! Pushing a little bit too far into creep. The tanks are a little bit too late here to get in position. Big bailing connections. And we will shut down the tanks. They do not siege in time. The tanks go down. The Marines, they try to rush on forward. The blinding clouds, they do mess up some of the AI there. They force the Marines to run into the Hydras. GG gets called, and Scarlett will take the series 2-0. Fighting back for herself, fighting back for her team. GG. Oh. GG, well played. Oh, Scarlett does take the 2-0. And thankfully we're able to experience that as well. Again, unfortunately, that's a game that we weren't able to cast live. We tried to, but the clean feed went down and we just had to wrap it up, which I do apologize for. Again, it was a little bit out of our control, but at least the organizers were able to hand off those replays and we were able to cover it in time. So GG, well played. Scarlett with the 2-0 here, looking damn strong, damn in form. And that's important leading into what comes next. Leading into IM Katowice, which is in a couple of months, and leading into DreamHack Atlanta. DreamHack Atlanta as well, which is this weekend. Fun fact, for those who don't know, DreamHack Atlanta, we will be covering it live as well. We will be one of the side streams covering day one. So in day one, we will be there, so make sure you tune into the channel for that. We will be covering the open stage, the open brackets of the events, and it's looking quite stacked. A lot of players are traveling, a lot of Koreans, a lot of Europeans are traveling to Atlanta off of their own dime, and they're going to be trying to make it worth it by working through that bracket stage into the later stages of the tournament, into the playoffs, into the winner stage. So it's going to be a long and grueling journey for them, but I do wish them the best. As again, it's great to see another offline event here in the Americas after quite some time. We're coming back. So it's going to be amazing, going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, make sure you tune into that. Otherwise, GG, congratulations. Shout out to all the players that did compete tonight. Of course, ONSYDE did take the series overall, but Scarlett was able to fight back for herself and for her team, and, you know, help out when it comes to the overall standings and when it comes to the overall score as well. Bearing in mind that we are wrapping up the round robin stage. We have 1 week left. 11 rounds of the round robin stage, and yeah, we are here in round 10. Aye. But yeah, with that, I don't think it's day one. Uh-oh. That's my mistake. Is it day one? Did I put down the wrong? I think I may have put down the wrong day. Don't worry, it's fine. It's still gonna be part of the correct one. Don't worry about it. No, yeah, day one. Okay, thank God. Whew, I was worried for a moment. But yeah, with that, we'll wrap up our coverage here of WTL, of at least this broadcast. Not too much context for it, I guess, but in a couple of hours I'm going to be live with some Home Story Cup replays, but so you won't be there for that. You're hearing this in the future, so don't worry about it. We got plenty of coverage here, plenty of Starcraft going on the CranKy Ducklings, as we always do, and of course we're going to be covering the playoff bracket for WTL, as we always do as well. So plenty of Starcraft on the channel. Consider subscribing, consider hitting that bell, the bell icon, the subscriptions, whatever the YouTubers do. It's yeah, you know what to do. And you can support us on Patreon. Fun fact, we actually got a couple of new patrons recently, and we have exceeded the 200 2/3 essentially of our goal. We're getting so close to reaching that 300 mark. For those that are curious, that is how much we spend a month on our tournaments, on events like Sparkling Tuna Cup, Grand Platypus Open, and the Tenacious Turtle Tussle. So the money that we make on Patreon does help so much when it comes to being able to support those tournaments. We will most likely be revamping that coming into 2024. Most likely going over what's worth it, what isn't, and what we want to cover, and what is interested by players, what players are willing to invest in. So we'll see what happens with that. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the support. Enjoy the outro or the intro, because it's always a lot of good fun. And we'll see you guys next time for day number 2 of WTL. Until then, hasta luego. Bye. Hasta luego, papi. Hasta luego.